Virat Kohli in this test match. He got 100. He finally got a century. Hello, namaste, assalamu alaikum, welcome to For Us. And today I got to talk about this series that I haven't really talked about, which is South Africa versus India in South Africa. And South Africa have gone and just won it 2-1 with a fantastic victory in the second game and in the third game, because both of those games, there was no thought prior to that from a neutral fan perspective that, oh, India's not going to win. Because India so emphatically won the first game. Brilliant bowling from India in that game as well, restricting the South African batsmen. And it looked like this entire series was going to be pretty standard from an Indian perspective. They were going to go, they were going to win, and then they would have won in New Zealand, they would have won in South Africa, in England, and in Australia. But Dean Elgar, in his test captaincy mindset, was like, nope, ain't happening this time around. They turn it around, and a star from this particular series is Keegan Peterson, another KP, right? You think of Kevin Peterson, you think of Kieran Pollard. For South Africa, KP might have to become Keegan Peterson because he was absolutely brilliant. The highest run getter in this series, scoring over 270 runs, right? He scored multiple 50s. In this final test match, he scored a 76 or something. He scored a 70 odd in the first innings and then an 82 in the second innings, almost getting them home. But then he got out, and then Van der Dussen and Bumrah did it. Again, Rassie van der Dussen hasn't had the best series, but he gritted it out there and batted. Dean Elgar in the second test, I believe, batted brilliantly to take them over the line. 96 not out in that particular innings. Now, I want to concentrate on the third test the most, because after that 1-1 series, it was like, oh, maybe we don't know which way it's going to go. Again, I initially said South Africa was going to win the series, but India's going to win maybe a match. So 2-1 was my initial prediction. I'm glad about my prediction, but I'm sad about it because I was supporting India in this series. Let's get down to the brilliant performances in this third test match. Keegan Peterson, someone I've already mentioned, he's looked great. He has a pretty decent average in terms of first class cricket. I think his average is around 40-41, but he's taken to international cricket, especially this series, really, really well. He batted magnificently well. I was very impressed. Another player I want to talk about is Marco Janssen. This guy is the second highest wicket taker in this series, gets 19 wickets at the best strike rate in the series, I believe, as well. 21, 22, something like that, in terms of around the I believe one of the best strike rates as well with the ball. Surprisingly, Bumrah not having one of the best strike rates, which was a shocker to me as well in this particular series. Be it a green pitch, be it whatever kind of track they played on in this series, Marco Janssen has been outstanding. Lungi Ngidi has been really good as well. Picked up a 6 for Rabada, consistent as anything. It hasn't looked the Rabada that we know, and he doesn't have the pace that he used to. I remember him having, same with Duan Olivier, but both of them were very, very good. Rabada, outstanding again, as always. It's just a lack of pace, but him becoming the highest wicket taker in the series. Top 3 wicket takers, all 3 South Africans. That has to say something, right? They've been brilliant with the ball in this series. Olivier's inclusion in the second test was like, yeah, this is obvious. But he hasn't looked the greatest. He looked great in the first innings, and in the second innings of the second test and in the third test, he wasn't the go-to bowler. He was a good opening bowler. He'd come back, bowl okay, but the other bowlers outshone him considerably, in my opinion. And we talk about India's biggest issue, which Virat Kohli addressed, so I'm glad about that is their batting, right? Collapsing on many occasions is not the greatest thing. South Africa collapsed in the series, no doubt about that. But South Africa won in the end. So that for that reason, they're probably like, even though we collapsed, we won. And then when they needed to just be there, they were. Because in the second test and in the third test, they won by 7 wickets. They had that mindset of, no, we're not going to get out. We're going to keep going. We're going to hit hard. And we're going to chase down whatever score comes in front of us. Okay? So both occasions, South Africa won the match. So for that reason, they're probably not concentrating on the collapses as much as probably India is going to. Right? There are going to be some changes. Surprisingly, Rahane and Pujara performed in this series. Not like, of old, but they performed fairly well. Both scored 50s. Virat Kohli in this test match. He got 100. He finally got a century. If you combine the two innings, he scored 79 and he scored, I think, 29 in the second innings. But he was the one who was going to bat and bat and bat and bat, which is something you don't see very often with Virat Kohli. We've seen it with him, but we don't see it as often. He's going to defend, but then he's going to be aggressive afterwards as well. But in this instance, Virat Kohli was a defensive master, no doubt about that. And it's really cool to see because Virat Kohli is a fantastic batsman. There were just 2 centuries. So first century, Rahul in the first test, batted brilliantly, set up the game for him. And then Rishabh Pant, a counter-attacking innings, he scored 100 not out of the 198 runs that India scored. Just imagine, he scored more than half the runs. He was aggressive. He was the Rishabh Pant that we know and we hate to love. It was a Pantonian century, no doubt. But it's something that I'm surprised about is the fact that, everyone was saying bad things about Rishabh Pant. Maybe he should change the way that he plays. And then he gets 100 and everyone's kind of turned their point of view. It's not that. It's just that if that's the way he plays, he just needs to be a bit more sensible in certain other situations. I said that. I was like, he's not a bad player. He's great when he comes off, but he just needs to be a bit more sensible. He doesn't need to come out the track and smash fast bowlers through extra cover or through mid-off every single time. He can do that. We saw him do that in this innings. We saw him freaking sweep Olivier for 6. Okay, he batted really well in this second innings. So Rishabh Pant is absolute class, and I'm glad that he performed and he scored runs here. And it's good that he scored runs. That would give him a lot of confidence for sure. And then I got to talk about the Indian bowling. There were certain occasions, especially in the third test, where Jasprit Bumrah looked absolutely sensational. I believe he got a 5-fer. Right, he bowled brilliantly in this test match in the first innings. In the second innings, the Indian bowling just didn't look up to the mark. I think South Africa batted really well, but they just looked angry in every situation. And I kind of get it. I do kind of get it because DRS is your friend most of the time, but DRS can also be wrong. And however much you put it, if you look at this, I can't, for the life of me, see this going over leg stump. The only thing I can say is maybe it was going down leg, potentially going down leg. But looking at it live and then looking at the image as well, to me, that's hitting top of leg, 100%. But again, we've seen DRS make certain mistakes. And I agree with the statement that 99% of the time, DRS is great. And by DRS, I mean, the ball tracking is great. 1% of the time, there are going to be issues. I remember the David Warner issue where he got there were multiple stumps or something, 4th stump and he got out. Can't remember exactly. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, it's fine. Technology messes up. And Elgar got out within the next 20 runs or something like that. So it's not that big of an issue. I don't think Super Sports is to blame or anyone like that. So I hope everyone kind of calms down. Yes, that should have been out. I agree. And maybe those 20 runs could have been the difference. That, Dean Elgar's presence is the reason why they survived. Keegan Peterson was brilliant. Van Dusen was great. Bumrah was great. So, I don't know. At least that's my thought about it. And I think South Africa played really well in this. In the second innings of both the second test and the third test. And I think South Africa are deserved champions of this test series, of the Freedom Trophy, I believe it's called. Alvarene as the wicketkeeper, not being as impressive as I was impressed with him in the T20s and ODIs. Develop into it, especially because Kunde de Kock has retired now, so he had to come in. Someone had to be the wicketkeeper for South Africa. We'll see how that goes. But honestly, if I had to pick a bowler of the series, Marco Janssen, he was a shock for me. I didn't expect him to do so well. He batted okay in a couple of occasions as well. My best moment of the series, obviously, has to be Jasprit Bumrah to Marco Janssen and the off-stump cartwheeling back, because I just love seeing him. Right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe if you do like the content. Do let me know your thoughts about this series, about this match, about cricket in general. The comments below, really love to read them. And yeah, until next time, please take care.